A few moments later.
Welcome to my Airbnb. In this video, we're gonna take a look at how much I made in my first full month of hosting, gross rents, gross expenses. I felt gross after all the expenses, and what I learned. Let's get started. I bought a short-term rental a couple months ago, and in this video, I'm gonna share with you 8 things I learned, how much money we made in the first full month, tips, well, mistakes really, to help you in your own short-term rental business. Now, to give you a quick overview, the property is actually 2 houses on 5 acres. The location is Central Virginia, and the purchase price was $305,000. One of the houses is a cottage, total cottage vibe, super charming. And then the other house is a tiny house. It's a little house, it's about 300 square feet, and people go crazy for little houses, as we'll soon find out. So let's get started with the first tip, and that is to have proper expectations for getting the property on the market. Now, I'm about to share with you the most obvious thing you've ever heard. Are you ready? It's going to take longer and cost more than you ever would have thought to get the property ready. I know, shocking, right? Well, I had visions of driving down on Friday morning, signing the closing papers, having everything delivered Friday afternoon, and driving off into the sunset on Sunday evening with the property on Airbnb. And obviously that could not have been further from reality. And it was obviously my fault because I bought a house that dated back to the Civil War. So of course I couldn't get the property ready in 72 hours. Unless you're buying a 1-bedroom condo or a picture perfect single family house, it's gonna take you longer than 72 hours to get the property on the market. First trip to the dump. Laptop's not going to the dump, laptop's going inside, but just about filled up the Ford Transit. Just an incredible vehicle. This is the vehicle that you want. For us, the little house took 7 weeks and the cottage took 9 weeks. Now, I will say 3 of those weeks we were sitting around waiting for the electrician, but I've heard stories of people getting their short-term rental on the market over the weekend, and that just sounds like an absolute disaster. And one other note on this is that at a certain point, you're just gonna have to rip off the Band-Aid and get the property on the market. There's always gonna be things that you wanna improve to the property, but my advice is to get the property to a level where you can deliver a 5-star experience, and then once you have the money coming in, you can reinvest those profits into improving the property. Number 2 is you can pay with your time or you can pay with money. When we were getting the cottage ready, we had a shower issue, like we had many maintenance issues. And for the most part, I would call a professional. But for some reason, me, someone with no plumbing experience, I thought I could fix the shower. It started with a shower handle. I was like, you know what? Shower handle is disgusting. I want to get a new one. I looked up at the shower head. I was like, you know what? Gonna get a new shower head. Went to Lowe's, come back, unscrewed the handle, unscrewed the shower head. Neither part fit. Pretty soon, before I knew it, I unscrewed every single part of the shower. I'm just looking at valves. I have no idea what I'm looking at. I try to put all the pieces back together and everything starts leaking.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
I probably spent 30 hours trying to fix that shower between trips to Lowe's. I think my record was going to Lowe's 4 times in one day. Trips to Lowe's, going down to the crawl space, the creepy crawl space to turn on the water, turn off the water. I think there was like a huge snake down there. I never found the snake, found remnants of the snake. Watching YouTube videos, doing everything you could imagine to try to fix this shower. I finally gave up. I called a professional, a plumber came out. 30 minutes, $600 later, they fixed the shower. It was a learning experience for sure, and now I know more about showers, but in reality, do I need to know more about showers? I'm not a plumber. I have no desire to be a plumber, and I could have deployed those 30 hours a lot more efficiently to help get the property on the market a lot sooner. And when it comes to plumbing repairs, or really any repairs at your property, I would choose wisely on when to try to fix things yourself or when to hire a professional, because you can pay with your time or you can solve the problem instantly by paying with money. Fortunately, with the shower, I ended up doing both. Number 3 is to use a dynamic pricing tool. This is an absolute must-have for any short-term rental host. By using dynamic pricing, your pricing will automatically fluctuate to meet the demand in your area. Now, Airbnb does offer smart pricing, but what I found when I use smart pricing is Airbnb kind of undervalued my property and focused more on bookings rather than revenue. And for that reason, I use a third-party service called Pricelabs. I've found that Pricelabs does a better job of optimizing for revenues, and there's a lot more customizations that I've found in Pricelabs compared to the standard Airbnb smart pricing and rule sets. What I love about dynamic pricing is that there's no way any human would instinctually know every single specific date and the associated demand with that date. For example, in my area, there's a random weekend in May where prices spike over 300%. Turns out it's UVA's graduation weekend. Now, I usually charge $300 a night. Pricelab recommends over $1,000 a night. Now, I don't think I'll charge $1,000, but even if I charged $800 a night, which is actually a fair and reasonable price for that weekend, and if I got 2 bookings, that's an extra $1,000 in my pocket that I would not have even known about had it not been for dynamic pricing. Number 4 is try as hard as you can to get longer bookings. If someone books your house for like 1 night or 2 nights, a month from now or 2 months from now, that's not a good booking. We don't want those types of bookings. So I'm going to show you the calendar for the little house for October. And there were actually 2 different occasions where 3 separate guests stayed on 3 consecutive nights. And there was even 1 occasion where 4 different guests stayed on 4 consecutive nights. This absolutely crushed my margins for the month because I pay my housekeeper per cleaning. And so there's the additional turnover, the additional laundry, the additional stress of getting the renters in and out. It was an absolute debacle, and I hope to never have that again. If you're looking at the calendar, there's literally 8 days where there's 8 consecutive nights of 8 different renters. Now, this is the tiny house, and 1-night bookings are more common, but if you have a bigger house, there are things that you can do to encourage longer bookings. I've now opened up my calendar for 5 months in the future, and if you want to book the little house 4 to 5 months in the future, you have to book a minimum of 3 nights. Those of you with larger houses, you can set that minimum to 7 nights, 6 nights, and then as you get closer to that booking date, you can ramp it down 6, 5, 4, and for me, it goes down to 1 night if you want to book within the last week. Do your market research for properties in your area and properties your size, and I really think the takeaway here is open up your calendar for further in advance and set a longer minimum night stay. Number 5 is people are cheap. Now, we're talking a lot about the little house because that's the one that's been getting most of the action. And the pricing for that one started at $99 when we first listed the property. And someone booked it and then paid the $30 cleaning fee, which I think is very reasonable, and then paid a $25 pet fee, which again, I think is very reasonable. And they love their stay. They let us know in the review that they love their stay. And then they left a 4 out of 5 on value. And it was one of my first reviews ever. And I was completely taken aback and like distraught that they left a 4 out of 5 because they said they loved it. And so I reached out and I was like, hey man, just wanted to check in, saw that you loved your stay. I noticed that you left a 4 out of 5 stars on value. I'm just wondering if something went wrong or like I'm humbly asking you to change your rating, blah, 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 blah. And homeboy responded and he said, hey man, so I crunch numbers, for my company and I've been doing some comps and it just looks like it should be like $20 cheaper. $20 cheaper, $99 a night, $20 cheaper is the budget in. That's not a euphemism. It's literally the budget in. That is $20 cheaper. That is $79 a night. And that doesn't get you 5 acres, doesn't get you a screen and a porch, doesn't get you a brand new Airbnb. And it was like comical how cheap this person was. Now, I have to understand that these are the waters that I play in. I decided to buy a house and then list it for $99 a night. So I am going to attract that type of clientele. If you have a 5-bedroom, it's listed for $600 a night or whatever, maybe it's a different sort of clientele, but I need to remember people are cheap and not have it eat me alive. And on that same note, I'm just going to say, do not discount. Never discount. When I first launched the property, I started getting inquiries left and right on Airbnb. That's what it sounds like when inquiries come in and People were asking me for discounts, and someone said, hey, can I book your place for $79 a night? And what do I say? I say, yes, of course you can book my place because I'm a nice guy. But no, you do not want to be the nice guy, because he goes, wait, I just want to confirm, this is the renter talking. He's like, I just want to confirm the $79 includes the taxes. And I go, no, it does not include the taxes. It does not include the $13 occupancy tax that you're going to pay. I didn't tell him that, but I just said, no, it doesn't include the taxes. And he goes, all right, well, yeah, that's too expensive for my budget. Thanks anyways, and best of luck. I'm just like, why am I even engaging with this type of conversation? The policy is do not discount. If anyone asks for discount, the response should be, I'm sorry, but we are not offering a discount at this time. Now, if you want to book for a week, if you want to book for a month, let's have a conversation. But if you want to book for one night and you want a discount, you want to book for 2 nights and you want a discount, I'm sorry, we are not providing discounts at this time. The people that ask for discounts are the biggest headaches, they ask the most amount of questions, and they are the harshest critics when it comes to rating your place. Definitely think twice before offering up any sort of discounts. So I want to quickly shout out a short-term rental group that I'm in. It is called Host Camp, and it is led by Robuilt. Everything I learned about short-term real estate investing, I learned in Host Camp. I would not be here today. Well, I would be here today, but I would not have the short-term rental business if it was not for Host Camp. So if you're interested in learning more, what I will do is I will list and link that in the description below. Number 6 is you will have neighbors, and you should probably make nice with your neighbors. Yeah, scratch that. You definitely should make nice with your neighbors. I have neighbors, they're great people, but when Home Depot delivered my new washer and dryer, Home Depot drove up my neighbor's driveway, and my neighbor came out and had some words with the fellas. Fast forward a couple weeks, we're on the market. A couple of guests have missed my driveway, gone up my neighbor's driveway, then cut across the lawn to get to my property. And recently, on a Saturday night at 9:30 at night, my neighbor texted me and said, hey, Matt, your neighbors keep driving on my driveway. I'm going to go over and have a chat with them. He literally said, I'm going to have a chat with them. I immediately called my neighbor. I diffused the situation, if you will. And, the last thing my renters want is to have some stranger come over to them when they're trying to enjoy a campfire on a Saturday night. But the thing is, the neighbor kind of has a point. People shouldn't be accidentally using his driveway over and over again. That is my fault. Hi, it's me. I am the problem. I need to take ownership. The reason this is happening is because I have not put in a fail-proof way with better signs, better directions, so this does not happen. That's on me, and we're gonna fix this very soon. Now, on this same note, I will say that my neighbor has a shooting range that they like to use, and they like to use it at night. How do I know? Because a guest texted me and said, hey, your neighbor is using their shooting range at 8 p.m. Just like, wow. We're living in a neighborhood. Listen, I'm all for, you want to have a gun, good for you. You want, private property, do whatever you want on your private property, but you have a neighbor. There's like a neighborly responsibility for some sort of quiet hours, right? Like, don't you think 8 p.m. is a little late to be shooting rifles? I think so. Like, I'm not about to mow my lawn at 6 in the morning right next to their house. I feel like there should be some sort of common courtesy, We're living in a society here. We should have some quiet hours. So let me know in the comment section below how I should broach the topic of the neighbor with the shooting range who likes to use the shooting range at 8 p.m. Number 7 is people will break your house and your house rules. So as a new short-term rental host, I've only been doing this for about 2 months. I knew people would break the rules, but I didn't know how egregious guests would be in breaking the rules. A few quick examples. One guest said that they were bringing 0 pets and they showed up with 3 dogs. Kind of ridiculous. I'm pet friendly, so I didn't really mind, but just wasn't expecting it. One guest said that they were bringing their entire family to the little house, which has a maximum occupancy of 2 people. I encouraged them to cancel their booking, but they showed up anyways. It's 300 square feet. It's 1 bedroom. Where's everyone sleeping? And unfortunately, their son, I should say their infant son, left a little stinky surprise in the bed. They left a used diaper. Oh, my poor housekeeper. They ended up leaving a 5-star review, so I didn't make a stink about it. And, generally, I've just found that people aren't as truthful with how many people they're bringing to the house. Many people booked the cottage saying that 2 people are showing up, when in reality, my house cleaner is like, 4 people were here or 5 people were here. Now, I don't charge for extra guests, and I don't charge if you like break a wine glass or, stain a towel. I will charge if you break my TV, I'm gonna send you a bill, but I don't wanna run my business where, everything costs like $5 or $10 if you break it. To me, that's the cost of doing business. If you have too much Pinot Grigio, hope you had a fun time and you leave me a 5-star review. And finally, number 8 is always be improving your house. I keep a list of improvements I want to make on the property. I'm going to do it over time. And unless you have a perfect property, there's probably things that you can be doing over time, big and small, to improve the property. We have some big improvements coming up like new roof, new siding, repairing the fireplace, things like that, but also small things like adding string lights to the deck or having one of those cool signs with the black background and the white letters that say like, welcome John. These are small things that I can be doing over time to increase the guest experience. Because in my opinion, the bar is always rising for Airbnb guests in terms of what they're expecting in quality and value. And I want to be one of those houses that's pushing the bar up as opposed to one of those houses that's falling behind the competition. Okay, so now let's take a look at pricing and how much the house is made. This is for October 2022, and the house has brought in $4,937 in rent. That breaks down to $2,568 for the little house and $2,369 for the cottage. The little house was booked a total of 17 nights for 55% occupancy, while the cottage was booked for 13 nights for 42% occupancy. Honestly, I was pretty happy with these numbers because we had 0 reviews coming in, and the average lead time for booking a place in our area is around 40 days. The mortgage on the property is $1,889, so when we take the rent minus the mortgage, we come up with a spread of $3,048, which is a pretty big spread. However, we got some more bills to pay, so after all the rest of the expenses like the housekeeper, utilities, software, things of that nature, we get a grand total net profit of $511.97. And if you're thinking, wow, Matt, did you really spend $2,500 on expenses? Yes, the answer is yes, unfortunately. And I'm going to be going in depth on a pricing video to break down every little thing, how it got to that point. So if you're interested, be sure you're subscribed to this channel so you get notified when that video is published. What's cool is since launching the properties in mid-September, every single weekend has been booked. The fall is a fantastic time to visit Central Virginia. There's great wineries, hiking trails, and you get to see the fall foliage. You get to see the fall foliage. That's a tough word. Foliage. Let's stop saying it. Foliage. Now we are entering the slow season, so the way that I see it, I want to use this time to work out all the kinks and to build up that review base so we are rocking and rolling come peak season. I'm going to be making more videos on short-term rentals in the future, so be sure you are following the journey. Would love to have you along. Hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. Be sure you subscribe so you never miss another update. And until next time, create a productive day. Take care.